So from young, would you say you was always someone who kind of analysed and...
From young? No, not really, you know. I feel like because of my dad had such a strong influence from what he was watching and the conversations he would have, I think I just kind of wanted to figure out a bit more, but I was curious. So then I started to research, okay, what can I study in that area? And then I remember was it uni? Well, I went to school, went to college. I did philosophy
Okay.
in college. That was one of the subjects I did.
Yeah.
And it was we watched a Truman Show.
Yeah.
And when I watched that show, I was like, oh my, I was always curious, like, wow. And then I think from there, it just sparked an interest in the mind. And then done psychology in uni with counselling. And then, yeah, my interest just continued to just spark within understanding the mind. And then here I am today.
Okay. So how did you then get into the industry and becoming a psychotherapist? What was like your next steps after studying?
So after studying, during studying actually, I did a lot of voluntary work. So I was volunteering as a at the time they called it a befriender, but I think it's supporting someone with dementia. So that's what I was doing during university. Then I worked at Young Minds Charity. I was on the helpline, and so their charity, they help parents who struggle with their mental health because their children are experiencing challenging difficulties with their behaviour. So I was doing that. And then I just continued to just develop my experience voluntarily. I became an assistant psychologist in the NHS, in the community. And then after uni, I got a job as an assistant psychologist in a school for children with autism.
Okay.
And I was under a clinical psychologist. So I was learning a bit about that role, doing a bit of CBT here and there. And then I just grew to love it even more. So as I was learning in uni and doing voluntary work and then getting a paid job after uni, I was loving it. I was loving it. And then I was so passionate. And then I got a job as a support worker. I stayed there for about 3 years. And I was exposed to mental health disorders, bipolar, depression, eating disorder, schizophrenia. So like as a psychotherapist, we read about these presentations in a manual. I was seeing it firsthand and it was the best experience ever. I learned so much from those children because it was with adolescents. So I learned so much from that. And in that passion, I want to help. I want to help. I want to understand the mind.
So do you feel like doing something like that, like do you absorb a lot of it? Like how do you kind of offload it for yourself?
That's a good question. We get supervision. So we do get to speak to nurses or doctors about how we're feeling. So we can offload in that sense. And then with your team, in team meetings, you know, you can share how you're feeling. You can cry if something's happened, you know, they don't stop you from expressing your emotions and expressing how you're feeling. And yeah, I was just a very expressive person. So if I wanted to cry, I would cry to my manager. I'd cry to the supervisor. And just let it out. And yeah, so I wasn't really,
So are you still doing that now?
So I'm not a support worker now, no.
Okay.
I'm a psychotherapist now. So I mainly do one-to-one therapy with clients.
So talk to me a little bit about that. How did you transition from like the social work to then, are you freelancing? Are you setting up your own business?
So I do private work and I work part-time in the NHS. So I do a bit of both.
Okay.
How did I get to there? How did I get there? So to get the qualifications, I did a course with the National Health Service, which is a free course. I started off as a psychological wellbeing practitioner and I studied a postgraduate degree. And then 2 years after, I done a master's with the NHS again, all funded for. And then that's how I got my qualification as a psychotherapist. So all with the NHS, all applying on the NHS website, but just different roles, and then you progress. And it's kind of like an apprenticeship. So you're going to uni and you're on the job doing one-to-one therapy with clients, and then you just grow in and you just learn.
So what made you start taking on private clients?
The NHS is very target driven.
Okay.
and it could be very heavy. So you know how you said, how do you have that outlet?
Yeah.
For me personally, when I was working in the NHS, I had the outlet, but it wasn't enough because the clients, I was seeing about 5 to 6 clients back to back
Okay.
with different mental health presentations, and it was very heavy,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
heavy. And as much as I loved doing the job and I loved helping people, it was affecting me mentally because I was becoming stressed, overwhelmed, exhausted. So I had to say, I need to get myself in check. I need to find that balance because I'm going to be doing a disservice to the clients because it's too heavy, it's too target driven for me. So now I just
So when you
balance it
say
out.
target driven, like it makes me think of like sales,
Oh
like you've got to
no.
get this kind of number. But how do you target drive mental
Oh,
wellness?
I feel so. I don't want to bad mouth
Yeah.
NHS, but so in a sense of target driven, they give you a caseload of, let's say, up to 20 clients, right? And you have a time frame of how long you get with each client. So let's say, for example, you got 8 sessions with each of these clients. You need to get these clients in recovery, right? Because they have a percentage of, I think it's 50% recovery. So when you have a client, you're working with that client. When they come into the service, their presentation it might be moderately severe. I need to get that client in recovery within 8 sessions, or let's say 12 sessions.
I mean, that sounds like someone coming to me and be like, Erin, you've got 10 clients who want to get fit. You need to get them fit, or you need to achieve the same goal within 10 sessions where everyone's different. So how did they factor that? Okay.
There we go. So when you're being told that, and then when you're going to supervision, your client's still moderately, because when we say moderately severe, it's just kind of like the baseline measures based on questionnaires that the clients complete every session. So if the client's still feeling quite depressed, you're in supervision, your client's still depressed, we need to get them down. How do we get them down? We need to find a way. We need to make a plan. But then when you get that pressure, you feel it, and it's just
Yeah.
like, this is a bit overwhelming. The client is feeling this way because they've got a long history of difficulties. We can't do this in 8 sessions, or we need more. But then that's where the difficulties
Okay.
are.
So how is it different now managing your own business?
I feel like the clients invest more in themselves, and you can tailor treatment more to the client,
Okay.
and you can have the clients can have as many sessions as they want. So you can work session by session with the client, and for me personally, I feel that I'm giving more care and more attention to the treatment plan, and the clients are benefiting from it because I don't feel that pressure. I have to do this in 10 sessions. It's like, no, Sharnade, I might want 20 sessions. I might want 25 sessions. And we just work on that basis. We're still doing the same treatment protocol. I'm still helping you with your anxiety or your depression, but we just have a bigger span in
Yeah.
regards to how long we can help you get there.
So would you say that there's a particular mental wellness issue that you face more often than others?
What do you mean by that?
So like you might see someone who is you mentioned schizophrenia. Like
Okay,
you might
okay.
come across that more than
Oh, okay,
something
okay, okay.
else.
So, as a psychotherapist, I don't work with clients who have schizophrenia.
Okay. Yeah,
So
yeah,
this,
not that
okay,
specifically, but
okay.
is there something that you kind of
See
see
more.
more often?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, working in the creative industry, I do see a lot of a variety of presentations,
Okay.
but common presentations could be social anxiety, generalized anxiety, depression. Those are the common three difficulties that I tend to see in that particular field, in that particular industry. And yeah, so those are the,
Why do you think that is?
because of the industry is very, in the creative industry, it's very, what's the word? Fast paced,
Yeah.
very challenging. It can be quite, it's based on image, isn't it?
Yeah.
Based on image, based on performance, when you're going out to red carpets, when you're being interviewed, when you're going out to
And there's
shows.
a lot of judgment as well.
Yeah, so you're putting yourself out there. And so that's probably why there's a lot of those.
And how did you get into that, into the creative side?
How did I get into the creative side? I love talking to people still. And I remember I had an assessment with a client and we had a great conversation. And then from that conversation, she said to me, just from that hour conversation with you, I feel so much better. And I thought, wow, I never knew I could do it. And I never knew she could do it. I never knew together we could have such a powerful conversation and it would help her. And then I just said to myself, do you know what? I want to interview people. It was just a thought, a random thought. And I told my friend, and she's like, go for it. And I was like, if I want to do it, I've got to go to the top. And I kid you not, I don't know why I was thinking like this. I was just like, I got to go to the top. I want to interview celebrities. Let's see if I can do it. And I did it. And then from there, I just kind of started to learn about the creative industry. Then I started writing for magazines, started to learn about that. Then I started to do radio. And I just started to learn and grow and learn.
So was that
and
something
then,
you just went out and got yourself, or did
yeah,
someone headhunt you, or
I just done it myself.
okay, so you just reached out to
Just
someone?
reached out. Do
Okay.
you know what? I don't know where that passion was. I don't know where that going for celebrity was. I don't know. I'm being totally transparent, totally honest. I don't know where that came from. It was just like, I want to interview people. I want to go to the top. I want to interview celebrities. Do it. And then from there, I did it. And I think mental health wasn't really spoken about then. So I feel like a lot of people were like, oh, that's interesting. So then, because when I started, it kind of grew.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
So let's talk about like the media work that you've done. So
Yeah.
you mentioned magazines.
Yeah.
You've done TV as well?
I spoke on one TV show, Younger
Okay.
TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
I was shaking under the table. You know what? It was good. It was really good, really interesting. I think I was speaking on dementia.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like when you go on for a TV show, all the cameras are there, and all the production. But it was good. But I was just so nervous. But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
And how does that differ from like just writing an article?
I love writing articles.
Okay.
And do you know what? I have to thank God. I feel like I'm so blessed in everything I'm doing because I didn't know I wanted to write for articles. I didn't know it wasn't as if, I want to do this. It was almost as if I was doing what I loved and then the doors opened for me in different areas. So I always give God the glory for everything. So the magazine, I didn't know I wanted to write for magazines. I just reached out to Naomi Harris from the Metro. She was the first person I reached out to because she did an article on, I think it was mental health. And I wanted to share with her the campaign that I did with influencers, public figures about how they take care of their mental health. I did a campaign and I got them to just share one tip of how you take care of your mental health. They shared it with me, my graphic designer. She created it into like a portrait with a quote. And then we did it for 30 days throughout Mental Health Awareness Week or month. So I did that, I started posting it. And then I contacted Naomi Harris. I shared it with her. I said, Naomi, I've been doing this campaign. I would love to share it with you. And then she was like, oh, that's amazing. I would love for you to write on this topic for me about mental health. And then from there, I was like,
and that was your first?
That was my first.
Wow.
And I was like,
in the Metro?
God. In the Metro.
Wow.
I was like, wow.
So when you was writing, did you think to yourself, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people are going to be reading this?
No, I didn't think that. I was
like, who are you communicating to when you're writing that article?
I feel like I'm writing for my younger self. And I feel like I just think about, my younger self or just the younger generation. What would they want what would they want to read? What would they want to learn about? Or depending on the demographic of the audience, I just think about them and I just write. And it's just, I just love it. And when Naomi said yes, I was like, what? So that means I could write for magazines.
Yeah.
And then I just used that one and then continued to just reach out to journalists saying about the Metro one. And then they just started saying yes, yes, yes.
Amazing. So you're still doing that now?
Yeah, I still do that now and I love it.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
So like moving on, I've seen you've kind of lent even further into media now by, as you mentioned, doing interviews or conversations with celebrities or high status people. What's that experience been like and why? Why did you do that?
Well, it's again started from the beginning when I said to my friend I want to interview
Mm.
people. That was where it all started, and then they just started to say yes to me, and I thought, wow, they're saying yes to me. So I thought, okay, so if they're saying yes, then this person's going to say yes,
Yeah.
and then I just developed confidence in just approaching them, and then they just started saying yes, 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 and I had a lot of rejection, so not everyone said yes to me, but I changed my mindset in regards to rejection. So it was like, if you reject me, that's fine. Someone else will say yes.
Mm.
So I just continued doing that. Um, it's been amazing. It's been incredible
Yeah.
because I've learned so much. And I've got such an amazing team, Aaron and Terrell, my videographers now. And we're just like a family. We're just like a family. And yeah, it's just the best. It's just, I love it.
Yeah. I see you're in season 2 now.
Season 3
Oh,
now.
season 3. Wow. Okay. Is there a conversation that you felt like the person really opened up to you beyond what you expected
For this season,
for any of the season?
any of the
Yeah.
seasons. I would say, yeah, there's been a lot of people who've opened up to me.
Hmm.
I remember there was one particular person who opened up to me quite a bit,
Okay.
and then they didn't want the interview to go on because they opened up.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But for this season, I would say, yeah, there's been people who've opened up to me, and it's almost like a privilege for someone to open up to you.
Especially on camera as well.
Yeah, and being so vulnerable. So yeah, they have opened up to me, and I love it because, when they come in the room, I just see them as a person. I don't see them as, oh my God, you're this person. I've seen you here. And we just get along, and we just talk, and we just vibe with each other, and yeah, it's just very comfortable, and just, yeah.
So, what is the name of the series,
You know
and
what? It's
where can
changed
people
so much
find
from
it?
where it started to where it is now.
Mm.
So now it's actually called Therapy with Shar, and you could find it on my Instagram, like promos on my Instagram, Sharnade George, or mainly YouTube. That's where the videos are uploaded, or my website, Culture Minds Therapy, which is going to be changed soon. But yeah, mainly I would say YouTube, Therapy with Shar on YouTube, and that's
Okay. Yeah, I really was looking forward to talking to you because a lot of the people that I've spoken to have all been based around physical well-being, and I understand the importance of mental fitness as much as physical fitness. So, how important do you think it is that people kind of really focus on their mental wellness? And maybe this is a two-part question. How important is it, and how much do you think is neglected?
Oh, I think it's neglected a lot, but I feel like the Gen Zs, they're coming on top with taking care of their mental health. They're putting in the right things that they need to do to take care of their mental health. And I say that because I've got a lot of clients who are from the Gen Z era. But I do understand that some people are still struggling, especially in schools. But I do think it's getting better. It's getting much better. But I think it's so important. Your mind is the most powerful tool that you have, even when it comes to fitness. If you can't mentally prepare yourself to go to that gym or to lift up that weight, you're not going to do it. So your mind is so powerful in all areas of your life, and it's so important to put your mind first, put your mental health first, and just take care of yourself, take care of your mind, because your mind is the director of, if you want to say, the ship. Your mind directs your ship, so you need to put your mental health first because it's so important. And I've seen when you don't put your mental health first, where you can be and how it can impact you. And so you need to put your mental health first.
So you mentioned Gen Z there. Now, is it a thing that, like, as a general, our mental health is getting worse? Or is it just that we're more aware of it now than we were, let's say, 10, 15 years ago?
Mental health getting worse. I don't know if people's mental health is getting worse. I would say people are more aware of it now, whereas before people wasn't aware of mental health. People didn't know what it was. If you're feeling anxious and your heart's beating or you're shaking, people thought they were going mad. But now they can actually name it and say, no, I might be anxious. What could I be anxious about? I might be going on a show. I might be going to a meeting. So that people can actually name it now. And I feel that in schools, mental health wasn't ever spoken about. So no one had the language of mental health. So they may have known that they may have felt uncomfortable, might be feeling dizzy, might be feeling hopeless, might be feeling unmotivated, but they never knew the name of why they were feeling the way they were. Whereas now we can vocalize and we have the vocabulary to know that, okay, I might be depressed, I might be anxious. Now I know a name, what's the next step? And I feel that within this generation now, because we have such vocabulary and language on mental health, people are taking the steps to see what help they can get, whether it's through the NHS, whether it's privately. But that's the first stage. If you know the language and you know you can put a name to how you're feeling, that's it.
Yeah.
Then you can find
I mean, the
someone.
reason why I mentioned that, could it be that our mental wellness is getting worse, is because of there's things now that we didn't have before, like social media,
Okay.
which is having like what I believe have a negative impact on people's mental health. And also we've just gone through like our first ever pandemic.
Yeah.
So that must have had a huge impact. What did you kind of notice during that period, and how was it for you?
I would say what I noticed in clients and people was kind of a bit of both sides of the coin, actually. A lot of people did struggle, but then some people were able to stop, recharge, reset. And some people, although it was a very terrible time for many people, some people did say, I actually felt a bit better being at home and just being able to navigate life again and just reset myself. And obviously there were people who did struggle and it was impacting them. So I did see both sides of things. It wasn't always just the negative as the news portrayed. There were some people who were like, I'm at home, I get rest, I don't have to travel, I can be with my family. So there were elements of gratitude, but then obviously people losing their lives and the struggles with that. So I saw both sides. And for me, sometimes I feel like I become my own therapist,
Okay.
so I can kind of therapy myself. I know it might not be good, but it was difficult, but I was able to slow down myself and kind of take my time with things and just, yeah.
So someone who's like feeling anxious,
Yeah.
what kind of steps could they do to, stop that build up of panic?
Anxiety. I would say try to relax. And I know it sounds very cliche. Oh, don't tell me to relax, I'm anxious. But relaxing is the best thing you can do, because when you relax, it actually helps your body relax as well. So when you're mentally feeling quite anxious and panicky, you're going to be all over the place. And you're going to release hormones in your body that's going to cause you to feel more anxious. So you'll be activating the fight or flight system. So your
Adrenaline.
pupils will dilate, your legs will start shaking, you might start getting sweaty. So if you continue to panic, that's going to continue to happen. Whereas if you try to relax and sit down, that will help you. Breathing exercises, that helps relax the nervous system. So when you're relaxing and you're focusing on your breathing, it actually does help you calm down. And as cliche or as irritable as it can sound, it does help. Breathing and just finding that space to just sit down. Scientifically, studies have shown it will help you.
Good.
And no coffee as well, because that
really?
heightens anxiety. It heightens the level of stress and cortisol that you're feeling. So it's going to do the opposite from what you want.
Okay. So during the pandemic, how did you manage your business? Because obviously you're not able to see people face to face. So how did you?
We went on the Zooms and the Microsoft Teams and the telephone.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had
How does that differ for you?
Obviously not seeing people face to face. You're not getting that interaction. You can't really read their body language. So there's those things that differ. But for some people it can be quite convenient because they're in their comfort of their home. It's on a screen or it's on a phone. They feel comfortable. So it kind of has its pros and cons.
So do you still do that now, or are you back to seeing people face to face?
I still do online or telephone. I do want to get back to face to face, but we'll see how that goes and if my clients want it. So.
Okay. So other than, doing your media work and also doing your one-to-ones, what other aspects of your business and like who is the team behind you that kind of supports that? How do you run the other aspects of your business?
Oh, wow. The team behind me, I would say at the minute, my mentor, Hayley Melinda. I actually interviewed her. So she's my mentor at the moment.
Is she like a psychotherapist mentor or a business mentor?
She's more a business mentor.
Okay.
In regards to psychotherapy, I have a supervisor for that. In regards to the interviews and filming, I would say my videographers are my team at the minute, and my graphic designer, and then someone who I work with for marketing. So I have a small little
Yeah.
team.
How did you go about assembling your team?
Oh wow. There's a website, Do It Org. I found my graphic designer on Do It Org. My videographers were word of mouth. The person who helps me with marketing, I met him through the magazine world. So I wrote an article, they saw the article, worked with them with TV production work, and then we kind of connected with that. And then yeah, so kind of like word of mouth, websites, and yeah, come together like that.
And how easy is it for you to kind of manage the business?
Well,
Is it something you enjoy doing, or do you offload that to someone
no,
else?
I don't enjoy doing it. I love
Okay.
having a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't be where I am today without my team. Literally, put it that way. I do like to manage. I like to delegate, but I always listen to my team, and I love my team, and yeah, I won't be without them.
So what has been like your biggest high throughout your career?
Biggest high.
Yeah. If you could
Oh,
pinpoint one.
I would say interviewing Paul Bronson,
Okay, that is the
TV host.
relationship expert.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I say that because he's such a big person in the media industry, but he also taught me so much on my interviews. Just interviewing him, he taught me so much about myself, the work I'm doing, and it was really, really life changing just to meet him and just gain some of his wisdom and gain some of his knowledge.
Wow.
And now he's a close friend. You know, we connect and we talk, and so that was, I would say, one of the highs of
Yeah.
my career. Getting some knowledge and some insight from him because he's such a lovely person and he's always willing to give. You know, always willing to pass the baton back, and I appreciate that so much.
Speaking of passing the baton back,
Yeah.
it's a nice kind of segue. If you could advise someone who is wanting to get into the industry, wanting to become a psychotherapist, what one piece of advice would you give them?
Have passion for what you want to do. Don't just do it because you're being told to do it, or don't just do it because you see your friends doing it, or don't just do it because you think it's popular. Have a strong desire and strong passion for it, because that desire and that passion will get you so far. I always had that desire and that passion, and I continue to pursue it. And now that's why you can see the magazines. But magazines wasn't my passion. TV wasn't my passion. It was mental health and helping people. And that's why I am where I am today, because I had the passion and a desire for people, mental health and the mind. And then other doors opened.
Nice. And lastly, what's next for Sharnade?
I want to do international interviews.
Okay.
So I want to take the interviews internationally, America. And yeah, just continue interviewing
Is that
people.
via Zoom or are you going to
No,
travel?
face to face,
Okay.
travel. Yeah, I want to take it international, continue to network with people, and continue to learn from people. Because as much as I'm interviewing about mental health, I'm also learning. So international interviews, continue to write for magazines and get more in that industry.
Yeah.
And yeah, just see what happens in regards to next steps.
Thank you, thank you. I wish you all the best, and it's been amazing to see like your journey. I watched your earlier podcast where you was doing it via Zoom, and then to see the setup for your latest ones, you know, you could see the trajectory and see the progress. So I hope it continues, and I look forward to seeing your US tour as well.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you for spending time with us this.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.